This may be the best playoff bracket we've seen in a couple years. Now, best ever may be a stretch, but I truly don't think there's many frauds in this year's playoff bracket. Obviously, it's not set, but just looking at it, I think we'll be looking at one of the greatest playoff races of all time. Let me know your favorite playoff year, and let's just go ahead and get into this. If I'm being honest though, I wanted to fit 5 teams into this list, but there's only a couple fraudulent teams in my opinion. Starting off though, the Texans clearly aren't going to make a run for the Super Bowl. Not only are they injured, but the O-line has looked weaker than we thought they might be. Now, in my opinion, the Texans are still on pace in their rebuild. The first season they were quite a bit ahead, but this year is probably where they should be. With that said though, this team isn't beating other good teams. They may have taken down the Bills, but they've lost to teams such as the Jets and Titans, and when they play good teams, they really can't pull it out. Losing to the Chiefs, Packers, Vikings, and Lions just shows that they cannot keep up with the best teams in the playoffs. When looking at the NFC, the race is really still on to make this bracket. As much as I want to call the Commanders frauds, it feels a bit like a cop out considering they probably shouldn't be in this talk anyway. And although the Falcons aren't a lock, I don't think they're destined to make much noise. I actually believe the Commanders could go in and get a win, except it may be tough if they do have to go into Philly and do that. But the Falcons, in my opinion, will not be beating the Packers or Vikings. And I believe that they're just a middle of pack team. And that really shows when in points per game, they have 21.8, which is around middle, and they're actually at a minus 22 point differential this season. This is also a super inexperienced team who, if making the playoffs, will be going in with a rookie quarterback after benching their $100 million guy. They also have many young players on the offense, such as Bijan, Drake London, and Kyle Pitts, and they really haven't experienced the NFL playoffs yet. Now, maybe one day, but this won't be the Falcons' run this season. Now, I will say, with how the Falcons have looked at times this year, I think if they can go in and play a competitive game in the playoffs, the fans should honestly take that as a small win. With Cousins' first like 5 games, I believe, they were pretty solid. I think maybe even up to like 8 games. But it's not like it was all bad with Kirk Cousins. But then just recently, I'm not really sure what the cause of it was. He really fell off, and that's why Penix is in now. And I think Penix, obviously, he looked good in his first game, but I just don't think that the team overall is destined to do a whole lot in this year's playoffs. I'd give it a year or two, but not much more than that. At least it shouldn't take longer than that, and it probably won't be this year. So it's not going to be sooner than that, probably won't be much longer. But let's go ahead and move on. Now, why is this one of the better playoff brackets? Well, in the NFC, most likely every team that makes it will be a 10-win team, and there may be one 9-win team. In the AFC, though, the top 3 teams can definitely make a run. And although the Texans, the fourth division winner, aren't the greatest, the Steelers and potentially Chargers could make a little bit of noise in those wildcard spots. The Bengals Broncos may also make it, and in my opinion, the Bengals may have more playoff firepower, but I could see the Broncos defense making it a shutdown game. Obviously, this game this weekend between the 2 teams is pretty big, right? Broncos, I'm a fan. I haven't really seen us make the playoffs since we won that Super Bowl. No one has seen us make the playoffs since then. But in this season, there's maybe 3 total teams, though, that aren't fully in it. But in last year's playoffs, it felt like many of the lower seeded AFC teams wouldn't make much noise, such as the Dolphins, Steelers, and Browns. And in the NFC, most people knew the Cowboys were frauds, and same with the Eagles. 2 years ago, though, most people felt the Giants would beat the Vikings, then be out right after that. No one really thought the Seahawks could do all too much, and it's actually funny considering they just won 6-3 against the Bears, which may be one of the worst primetime games ever. But anyway, and neither the Chargers nor Jags felt like true competitors in the AFC that year. And the Dolphins were actually starting their backup Skylar Thompson against the Bills, who actually he made some noise, and it was kind of fun to watch that game even though the Bills did end up taking it. But with everything I've said today, but completely understand, we might actually be watching one of the greatest playoff, races. We might be having some really good games this year. So I hope you guys all enjoyed. Have a great one. Hope you guys had a good Christmas yesterday or however many days from when you're watching this. And Have a good one.